Here's the light pole in its place. The lights are just slightly over eye level to me, about the top of my head. I sit down in the driver's seat. There's my spare battery down here, the one that the lights are running on, and the headlights out in the front are running on that too. Here's my light switches. There's that one up there, here's that one, there's that one. So I'm happy with it. It's all working good. And when I don't want it, if I'm going out in the daytime and I don't want the light pole, I just unplug it off the battery with that quick connect. Lift this little lock right here and just take the thing right off and put it away somewhere. I hope somebody got some inspiration off of this idea. Maybe it gives somebody an idea, if nothing else. The electrical work, show how to install accessories in your car, vehicle, or motorcycle, or whatever you need to do any electrical work on. Give you little tips on some basic soldering and connection. This is going to be the mount, the bottom base mount for the 2x4 that I'm going to put the light post on. And I'm starting this video in the middle because I wasn't planning on doing a video, and I'm already partially done with this project, so I'm going to redo part of it, show what I did. I'm going to take one of these brackets here and a piece of 1/8 inch scrap that I happen to have picked up on my day job, and I'm putting this, I need a bottom because there's nothing behind it, and I need to bolt this to the floor of the boat, so I need to put a bottom on there. So I'm lining it up on this, and it's just a perfect fit, and so it just sits right on there just like that. I'm going to weld this thing on here and drill holes in the corners here. I don't have my monitor set up, so I can't see what I'm doing. I'm just looking at the little tiny screen on the video camera, so I'm hoping I'm getting this right. And so what I did was took a square, set it up over here, the end of that, took that off, took a center punch, and I scribed a line on that so I'd have a nice square line to work with. And I'm going to cut that off with a plasma cutter. I've showed in other welding videos that I like to use a vice grip for a ground. I clamp it on there because this metal is a little bit rusty. Work my way through the rust or paint or whatever's on there, and that always gives me a nice clean ground to work with. You don't really want any resistance in your connections when you're welding. This is my little plasma cutter. It's a Lincoln 625. You hook up the air to the back of it and plug it in. It's a 220 volt, very lightweight machine, doesn't weigh but maybe 15-20 pounds, but it's powerful. And there's my little Miller Matic that I'm gonna weld it with. Nice clean cut. Now I'm going to flip it over and put a couple of bolt holes in the bottom. One here, well, two on each side. Put some screws in it. Actually, I don't need the vice grip this time, because that's galvanized metal. That's going to give me plenty of good contact area. What I like about the plasma cutter is that it doesn't use any gas, just electric and air, and it's clean. Costs a lot of money to buy it, but it sure is cheaper to use it than it is to use a cutting torch. And it doesn't get my work near as hot. Doesn't take the temper out of it like a torch does. There you have it, 4 nice neat holes. We're inside my boat, and this is what the plan is. I'm going to bolt this piece to the floor here. And this little bracket is going to get bolted up here. The reason is so I can stand this board in there. And the top of that board, I'm going to mount some lights. I'm going to go ahead and fasten these on, and then we'll get started on mounting the lights on the board. I'm going to mount this one back here far enough so that this front end of it doesn't come past the front of this thing here, because this is my live well that gets opened up, and sometimes there might be something sitting on here that might come out past that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and mount this right here. I'm going to take my pen and draw a little circle in there, drill those holes out. We'll mount that. And of course, before I do any drilling, I got to put my hand back there and make sure I'm not going to hit something with the drill. I'm going to put a center punch hole in the middle of my circle first. Keeps the drill from walking around on there. Put nuts and washers. I've got the bottom edge of this console. It's riveted to the floor here, and it's sticking up quite a way, so for this to fit right, I'm going to have to space that up a bit. I'm going to put a couple of washers under it. Got all those washers in there, got this thing sitting flush now. Now I got to put this in here and get it to stand up straight. I'm not going to check it with a level, I don't think, but I'm going to put this slide lock, this slide bolt lock on here that's going to slide down in front of this and keep it on there. Of course, these are self-tapping screws. Got our post back in place again, and it's mounted temporarily for the moment. And up here at the top of it, I'm going to put this bracket on there. Since I'm not really doing a welding video, I didn't show how I made it. I just took some pieces of metal and welded them together and burned some holes through with the plasma cutter for screw holes and for mounting holes for the lights that are going to go on there. So that's where we're at for this point right now. Let's see if I can get a close-up on that a little bit. So that's how that's going to mount on there. And one light on each side and an extra hole in case I want to put a third light over here. Got that bracket mounted. Now I'm going to put some lights on it. I'm going to mount this post on here just to show where we're at now, because I don't remember. It's been a couple days since I've been on this. So I put this slide latch on here, and I put a bolt in right down here, and the reason the bolt is in there, it's underneath that. To keep this from jumping out of there if this gets left in there during transit or something. So we can just slide that bolt down like that. I probably need to shim this out a little bit, put some washers under these screws, because this metal here is pretty thick where this bracket here is, so this bolt doesn't want to slide down and lock all the way. And then we got a little slop in the bottom. We'll put some type of a shim on that to keep that tight in there. So there's the lights and these wires to all three lights. I'm going to drill a hole right through the board and pull these wires through the other side and run a pipe down the back side of this and mount some switches right here where they're easy to get to. Here's some stuff I got from Home Depot. I could not find a rocker switch mounting bracket for automotive type purposes. I just could not find one anywhere that would have 3 switches on it and that would conveniently fit on this post. So I just went on and went to Home Depot and got a surface mount plastic box and a couple of screw-in fittings to put pipe on it. About a 10-foot length of pipe of PVC electric conduit. Since I just took my little car up there, I just had them to cut it in half for me because I don't need that much. And I found this 3-switch rocker switch up there at Home Depot, and so we'll put that in there, one for each one of these lights up here, and of course a cover and a piece of PVC plumbing pipe that we can put on here and bring that right through the board so that it comes out the other side. So I'm gonna, looks like the 1 1/8 inch paddle bit drill matches up with the outside of this, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull these wires back through and drill that hole. Looks like that's going to be a nice snug fit. This will go in there, and I'm not even going to glue these together. I'm just going to plug them together, and when I mount the box, I got to go take a measurement in the boat to see exactly where it mounts at. Mount the box and just push them together tight. That's be just tight enough. Don't need to glue it because eventually I'll take it apart, put a different board. This is the only one I got right handy without buying some new lumber. These mounting ears on this box are going to be wider than the board. I don't like that, so I'm just going to cut them off. There's a couple of recessed areas inside the box that you can use a screw to mount them from the inside, and that's what I'm going to do. I got those ears cut off of this box on all 4 sides. Now I'm going to use these self-tapping. These are sheet metal screws, but they got the drill point. A little drill bit point will help get that through there without, hopefully, not splitting the wood. I use one of these ratchet pipe cutters. My goodness, that's not the one I wanted. That one's broken, but it's all I got. I don't know where the other one is. But it's warm out, it's summertime, so hopefully the pipe is soft and it'll cut easy. Yeah, that was good. That's nice. That fits good. I decided I am going to go on ahead and put all of these connections inside this tube. Can't do that on house wiring, but this is not a house, this is my boat, and I'm going to go ahead and do it that way to save some effort. But I'm not going to join all of these connections in the same place. I'm going to make them different lengths. But the first one I'm going to do, take this pipe off. I'm going to find a different color wire because I'm going to put all these grounds together, all three of these black ones together on one, and I'll trim these red ones back to a little bit different length so that these soldered and taped little joints aren't all bundled up together in the same place. They're going to be one here, 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 and not all together in the same place where they won't fit inside the pipe. So let me find another piece of wire, different color. Here's a piece of damaged scrap. Looks like 12 gauge extension cord, but I should get a long enough piece of black wire out of there, make a good ground. I save all the wire that I could possibly reuse for a project like I'm doing here. This is not new wire here. This protective sheathing is cut way back about 6 inches from the end. I'll do this one about 2 more inches and then maybe leave that one where it is. We don't have to slide that off anymore. I'm going to use all 3 black wires together. This is much heavier wire than I need for LED lights. Surely don't need this much to carry the current. Current means amperage. You don't need heavy wire to carry voltage, but you do for amperage. And I don't use those soldering irons that you have to plug in a day or two before you're ready to use them. I only use the instant on ones. They don't cost that much more. Well worth it. Tin the iron with a drop of solder on the end. Heat up the work and then go on ahead and add some more solder to it. Make sure it flows nice and evenly all the way around. Shake off the excess. Let it cool for a few seconds. Have to wait for that to cool before we slide the heat shrink tubing up on it. If it still hurts when you touch it, it's too hot. It won't hurt to put a little drop of water on it to cool it down. Now we slide this on there. And we heat up the soldering iron again. And just carefully go around and around until that stuff shrinks up on there. And one nice thing about heat shrink tubing, if you ever need to have a watertight seal for sure, before you heat shrink it, you could put some silicone glue underneath the ends of that tubing. And then it will be sealed really nice. Well, I had to leave for a little bit. I'm back. I ran these wires through this piece of pipe. I'm going to slide my heat shrink on there. Slide it down far enough that it doesn't get hot from heating up the wire with the solder. I know I already taped putting this blue one on, but I'm going to do these smaller black ones. In case I didn't record it very well, we'll do it again. This video is basically the idea of putting the post up for night fishing. I'm not going to get a lot of views on putting the post up, so I'm probably going to title it more towards just basic electrical work and installing accessories on vehicles. Once again, you got to make sure that you don't have too much heat in that wire before you slide this tube up on there, because I've had them actually close up on the wire before I got it slid into place. These are not the real good ones. They work, they're okay, I'll buy them again, but I would rather get a higher quality one. I believe I got these at Harbor Freight. Now, I like some of the stuff they got, but not all of it. Most of their plug-in power tools are pretty good for the price. Their gas engines are very good for the price. They're a carbon copy, a cheap carbon copy of the Honda small engines, and they run good. Start with one pull. I like them. I got several of them. I'll buy them again. But their battery powered tools I will not buy again. They'll have to do something about that if they want me to buy more of those. I think I like Rigid and DeWalt, brands like that, better for the battery powered tools. Makita. All those are in place. And if you didn't follow my circuitry, I'll explain it again. All three black wires go into three different LED lights on the post here. Go to one black wire. They're going to go into this box, and I'll show you where that's going when we get there. And then all three of the red wires are going to a different color wire. I was going to just use yellow wire for all of them, but I'll use a different colored wire on each one. And each one of those is going to go to one of these silver screws on this switch. It has a common switch over here, or common black wire over here. If this was in the house, your black wire would go to that, but in the vehicle we're going to run a red wire to this, because your red is your hot in a vehicle. Well, in a house sometimes it's a red wire, but it's always a black one too. And a black's usually a ground on a vehicle, but not always. 18-wheelers uses white for a ground a lot. Had to pull this out and buy myself some room there so I can get this in on this end. Just cut these off at a comfortable length to work with, putting ends on them and putting this back in there. And I've got a long wire here on the floor that came off of a, I think it was off a sump pump. No, I don't. I think this was maybe a vacuum cleaner. I'm not sure what it was off of, but we're going to use this. We're not going to use the green wire, but we'll use the black one and the white one as my power source coming up from underneath the console. And it'll go into here. The black one, of course, will go to this, because on vehicles your black is almost always your ground, so we're going to keep it that way on this. And the white one we're going to attach to the black screw over here, and we're going to put that on the red when we get in the boat. I pulled that through here. I'm going to tie a knot in this, and hopefully we still have room with a knot in it. If not, I'll have to use a wire clamp, Romax clamp or something. I think we'll still have room to bolt this down in here, I hope. Oh yeah, that'll be fine. Well, I don't like using stranded wire underneath screw terminals, so I'm going to put some solid terminals on the end. If I can find some horseshoe terminals, I'll use those. I don't have any new ones, this horseshoe type terminal. All I got some old ones, rusty, old nasty ones. So I'm going to take a torch tip cleaner. Of course, I wouldn't do this at all on someone else's vehicle, but it's mine. This video's to show how to do the job, not so much to be politically correct all the way across. But the torch tip cleaner will give me a clean surface to work with on the inside, because it's got ribbed cleaners there, ribbed kind of like threads. So I'm going to clean all three of these off that way, then take a little piece of sandpaper and clean the outside of the terminal a little bit. Just my preference, but I'm going to solder these. Especially since these are older terminals that are not as bright, clean, and shiny as they should be. Just right on the end, just a little bit till it goes down inside the hole a little bit. Of course, it's always rosin core solder. With electric, you never use acid core. Now it's time to put this pigtail on. Fuse holder, I already know that I need about this much wire. So I'm going to cut this much off right here. Make sure I have at least a foot extra. This is just a common, pretty much universal size, quick disconnect that you can buy at any decent auto parts store. and they just come together like this, and you cut that in half wherever is convenient for you to cut it off. And I'll just cut it in half like that. And when you're doing these, the side that the battery source is from is the side that you want the red one shielded. Well, that's not this one. This one is not shielded. On this side, the red one is shielded. This side goes to the battery. We'll set that one aside for the moment. The one that's not shielded, we're going to put that one on our line going up to the lights. I don't have any more of the black heat shrink that's the size that I want. This one's almost as big. I'm going to try to get away with that size. You know the old carpentry rule, measure twice, cut once. Well, we're not measuring, but I am going to check twice, make sure that I'm not putting the shielded side on the side that goes up to my lights, because that definitely needs to be on the battery side, so that when it's unplugged, the hot wire is shielded. It's not going to lay around and hit something that might be grounded. Got to put one of these on there first. Put the white one on the black wire. Get my fuse holder on there. Huge heavy wire, don't need that big a wire. But at least the wire won't break. Got this pigtail made up for the one that goes on the battery with the fuse holder, and soldered it and shrink tubed it like that. And now this end, picked up a piece of wire off the floor here that's just about the right length. I'm going to put a 3/8 inch eye on this hot one, because those marine batteries have terminals like that. Some of them have the same size terminals on both sides. This one doesn't. It has one on each side. It's different. So put the bigger one on the positive, the smaller one for the negative, 5/16 size. And I always like to solder these when I have a chance, so I'm going to. Got that pigtail for the battery all finished with the ends on it, and a fuse. I put a 10 amp fuse in there. It's probably more like a 30 amp, the size of the wire we got here, but those lights don't need anywhere near that much, so we'll just go with a 10. That's more than enough. Fuse is generally to protect your wiring. In some cases the fuse is also a resistor that protects the circuit, but not normally with lights. It's just to protect the wiring. So the wiring is supposed to be enough, probably at least twice what the lights really need. In case you want to add some more lights, you don't have to replace all the wiring. You can just stay with the same fuse and same wiring and just add a couple more lights on if you want to, without having to redo everything. So we'll just tape this up for now, and I'll probably put one of those corrugated wiring harness sleeves over it later on. But to finish the video, we'll just do it like this for now. The final test, I'm going to need to put this wire here, the hot wire that's coming up from the bottom of my pigtail, on the black screw on this switch. And these three here are going to go over here, but first I want to find out where they're going to go over there. So what I'm going to do is plug in my pigtail, but I'm not hooking it up to the battery yet because I'm not in the boat. I'm going to cheat, hook it up to a battery charger. I got a small battery charger sitting on the floor here. Hope I didn't do something wrong, get fireworks. Everything looks good. I don't know which is on and off on these switches, they don't say. So we'll just have to find out. Stick one of these on here because I want to know, I want them to be in the right order. Put that on, I don't see a light. Now I do, it's the middle one. So that'll definitely go in the middle. And now I have to decide which one's going to be on the bottom and which one's on the top. I think the bottom one will be kind of like the closest one to me, which will be the light over here on my left. Not that one, it's that one. Got that working. Now we got to put it in the boat. Here's the light pole in its place again, and everything's hooked up. The lights are just slightly over eye level to me, about the top of my head. And let's see here, I sit down in the driver's seat. There's my spare battery down here, the one that the lights are running on, and the headlights out in the front are running on that too. Here's my light switches. There's that one up there, here's that one, there's that one. So I'm happy with it, it's all working good. And when I don't want it, if I'm going out in the daytime and I don't want the light pole, I just unplug it off the battery with that quick connect. Lift this little lock right here and just take the thing right off and put it away somewhere. Alright, I hope somebody got some inspiration off of this idea. Maybe it gives somebody an idea, if nothing else. The electrical work, show how to install accessories in your car, vehicle, or motorcycle, or whatever you need to do any electrical work on. Give you little tips on some basic soldering and connections. Alright, thanks for watching.